Chosen one, stop what you are doing now. Do not swipe away from this message quickly. Your breakthrough is closer than your fear has allowed. Heaven is pressing on your attention because the door is open, yet the moment around that door is moving faster than your old rhythm expects. You have spent many seasons hearing the word almost. Almost ready has become familiar to your spirit. Almost your turn has tested your hope repeatedly. Every time expectation rose inside you, another delay seemed to move the promise farther away, until waiting began to feel more normal than receiving. You learned how to survive disappointment without showing everyone. You kept praying when nothing around you looked different. You stayed faithful through silence that felt unusually heavy. And while you were enduring all of that, a hidden expectation slowly formed inside you, teaching you to brace for delay before allowing yourself to celebrate. Listen carefully, because this is not another endless waiting message. You already know how to wait with endurance. You have waited through confusion, distance, and unanswered questions. But something has shifted now, and the reason you feel pressure lately is connected to a threshold you have not fully recognized yet. Your spirit has felt more restless during ordinary moments lately. Certain conversations drain your attention much faster than before. Empty advice has started sounding almost unbearable to you. Sometimes, you wake before sunrise, already alert, and you cannot explain why your inner world feels ready for something your circumstances have not announced. That is why these 10 seconds matter greatly. Heaven is not playing games with your future here. God is not asking you to panic or perform. The urgency exists because an old rhythm can become dangerous inside a new season, especially when you have learned to expect closed doors before checking whether one has opened. You thought the problem was always another closed door. You assumed the enemy had blocked every path. You blamed timing when nothing seemed willing to move. But what if the situation is more precise than that? And what if the door is not locked from the side you have been watching? Do not answer that question too quickly inside yourself. Your recent changes are already giving you clues. The exhaustion feels different from older seasons of pressure. Things that once controlled your emotions are losing their grip, while your attention keeps pulling towards silence, clarity, and a deeper sense of what actually deserves you. Chosen one, that internal change matters beyond appearances. You are not becoming cold toward the people around you. You are becoming harder for distraction to control again. When a breakthrough prophet approaches a meaningful crossing, the spirit often begins rejecting noise before the mind understands what new level of responsibility is approaching. Many people misunderstand that kind of inner separation. They assume every pause means something important was cancelled. They assume silence means heaven has withdrawn its favor. Yet silence can remove the voices that trained you to depend on outside confirmation, so you can recognize a quieter instruction when your next real decision appears. You have asked for clarity more times than you remember. You wanted one sign that finally felt trustworthy. You wanted a moment that could not be misread. While you kept asking, your tolerance for confusion kept shrinking, and that change may be preparing you to recognize what matters when the moment finally arrives. Still, there is a danger hidden inside prolonged waiting. Waiting can become familiar enough to start feeling strangely safe. Repeated disappointment can train expectation to protect itself automatically. Then even good news can create hesitation, because the heart remembers every previous, almost and quietly, prepares for another ending before a beginning has had time to breathe. I need you to understand this without judging yourself. Long seasons can leave deep patterns behind your reactions. Your endurance was real, and your faith was not wasted. But a pattern that once protected your peace can remain active after the danger changes, and that is where a new season can feel confusing at first. You may already recognize that tension inside your decisions. part of you wants to move without another delay. Another part keeps requesting one additional sign before responding. You call it caution because caution sounds wise, but somewhere deeper you can feel that the old explanations are not calming your spirit like they used to. This is why heaven is interrupting your pattern right now. The interruption is not punishment for getting something wrong. The confrontation is not against your value or worth. It is against the cycle that taught you to stand outside your own breakthrough while repeatedly asking heaven when the door would finally appear in front of you. Your chosen one identity is not decorative spiritual language. A watchman must recognize when the signal becomes clear. A cycle breaker cannot repeat every inherited response forever. There comes a moment when discernment must become response, and when careful preparation must stop being confused with remaining permanently outside the place you prayed to enter. Do not misunderstand what I am telling you here. Heaven is not asking you to chase every opportunity. You are learning the difference between pressure and alignment. Fear can be loud, while alignment remains quiet. But alignment often carries a strange steadiness, even when the next step looks unfamiliar to everything you have known before. The enemy does not always need to destroy a promise. Sometimes endless distraction can accomplish enough by itself. Sometimes excessive analysis keeps a person standing perfectly still. If the enemy cannot remove what heaven prepared, then keeping you hungry for one more confirmation may be enough to delay your response without ever touching the promise itself. I am not revealing the full pattern to you yet. One more piece must become clear before that happens. Patience and hesitation can look almost identical from outside. Both can wait quietly, but one is rooted in trust while the other can hide a fear of choosing wrong beneath language that sounds spiritual. Before this message ends, you will know the difference. You will understand why these 10 seconds carry urgency. You will also understand what the open door represents. And when those pieces connect, you will see why your breakthrough can be ready while part of your inner world still behaves as though another long delay is required. If this already feels personal, mark this moment honestly. Write, "I am listening" below when your spirit agrees. Do not do it for attention or approval. Let those simple words represent your willingness to hear the full instruction before deciding what this season means. Because distraction loses influence when your attention becomes deliberate. Stay with me as we move into the next layer. Your waiting pattern is about to make more sense. You will see why breakthrough can feel near and frightening. Keep the earlier question close, because the next part will show what prolonged delay can do to clarity, and why the door is not locked from the side you think. Chosen one, stay close to this next part. I want to name something early because I do not want mystery to become manipulation. You deserve to know what is being placed inside this message. Then you can keep listening with a clear mind while the deeper meaning begins to unfold. There is a reason clarity matters so much in this season. Long delay can crowd the mind with hesitation before a real decision even arrives. That is why I want you to know there is a restoration tool connected to the clarity we are discussing, and I will explain more after the deeper pattern becomes clear. It is called the Genius Song. It is a 7-minute digital audio track built around brain entrainment and gamma activity. The idea is simple. The audio is designed to support a focused mental state associated with clarity, intuition, and a stronger sense of inner direction. I am not asking you to decide anything about it now. If something in you already feels drawn to explore it, the path is available in the description and the pinned comment. But stay with this message first, because the tool will make more sense once you understand what prolonged delay can do to your response. Now we return to the real issue. Waiting changes people. At first, waiting teaches endurance, patience, and restraint. But when waiting continues through disappointment after disappointment, Expectation can begin protecting itself by assuming that nothing is truly ready yet, even when the season around you has started changing. That pattern can become invisible. You stop saying no to the future, but you also stop saying yes with your whole heart. You keep praying, yet you add silent conditions inside yourself. Disappointment taught you that hope can feel expensive, so part of you begins preparing for another delay before anything has even gone wrong. This is where many chosen ones become confused. They think hesitation means discernment. They believe that because waiting protected them before, waiting must always be the wisest response now. But a strategy that helped you survive yesterday can become a cage when tomorrow finally arrives and asks you to respond differently. You have probably felt this in small decisions already. A new idea comes and you search for reasons to postpone it. A door cracks open and your mind starts replaying every previous door that closed. You call it caution, but somewhere beneath that caution is a memory that does not want to be disappointed again. That does not mean you are weak. Repetition trained your expectations. Every almost left a mark. Every unanswered season taught your heart to brace itself. After enough repetition, hesitation can begin wearing the clothing of maturity, even when fear is only trying to sound responsible and spiritually careful. This is why the old version of you keeps asking for one more sign, one more confirmation, one more perfect feeling. The request sounds wise, but underneath it, there can be a deeper question. What if I finally believe again and something still goes wrong after I let myself hope? Listen carefully here. There is a difference between peace and passivity. Peace can wait without fear. Passivity waits because movement feels dangerous. Peace stays open to instruction, while passivity keeps searching for reasons not to move, even after the original reason for waiting has already disappeared. You are being asked to notice which one has been operating inside you, not so you can blame yourself. The purpose is awareness. A watchman cannot respond to a signal buried beneath old survival patterns, and a breakthrough prophet cannot interpret every new opening through the memory of yesterday and still expect clear discernment. This is where the identity shift begins. You have spent enough time describing yourself as someone who is still waiting. That phrase may have been accurate before. It does not have to become permanent. There is a difference between being prepared in hidden seasons and building your entire identity around the belief that nothing can happen yet. Chosen one, that is one reason this message feels urgent. Not because heaven is trying to scare you, not because God is measuring your worth with a stopwatch. The urgency exists because patterns become stronger when they remain unnamed, and what stays unnamed can quietly choose for you before your conscious mind understands what happened. You have asked for a new season, but a new season requires a new response. The reflex that helped you survive the wilderness cannot automatically lead you through every open gate. There are moments when caution is wisdom, and there are moments when caution is only old fear wearing a calm voice. How do you tell the difference? Fear usually multiplies noise. Alignment often carries a quieter steadiness. Fear keeps generating new reasons to delay. Alignment can still feel unfamiliar, but beneath the uncertainty, there is a clean sense that the next step does not violate who you are becoming. That is what prolonged delay can do to discernment. It can make loud uncertainty feel more trustworthy than quiet clarity. Then, when a simple opening appears, you almost overlook it because it does not match the intensity of the struggle that came before, and you assume something important must always arrive dramatically. This is why silence has started feeling different to you. You are not becoming empty. You are becoming more selective about which voices deserve access to your attention. Wise counsel can help, but constant dependence on outside approval can bury a direction that was already becoming clear inside you. Esther could not remain hidden forever. Preparation had a purpose, but preparation was never meant to become permanent shelter. There came a point when identity and timing met, and the next chapter required movement. Hidden seasons prepare you, but they are not always where you are meant to remain. Your story may carry the same tension. You have become so skilled at enduring that receiving can feel almost unnatural. You know how to survive silence. You know how to keep going without answers. But do you know how to respond when something finally moves before every fear inside you has been settled? Patience and hesitation can look almost identical from the outside. Both can be quiet. Both can delay movement. Both can sound wise when explained. But only one produces increasing clarity, while the other keeps producing more reasons to remain exactly where you are, even after the door begins to open. That distinction will matter when we return to the meaning of the 10 seconds. The countdown is not asking you to panic. It is exposing the moment when awareness becomes decision. In the next part, you will see why your breakthrough can be ready before your old identity feels ready to receive it. Chosen one, now we move into the part where your waiting must be interpreted correctly. You have already seen how delay can train the heart to expect more delay. Now, we have to separate preparation from paralysis, because the two can look similar until pressure forces the truth into the open. David knew what it meant to carry a promise before the environment matched it. He was chosen long before the visible position arrived. That gap did not cancel the calling. It trained his character, but the training season was never meant to become his permanent identity once the moment for movement finally came. That matters for you now. You may have spent so long proving that you can endure. That endurance became the only strength you trusted. You know how to survive closed doors and keep faith in silence. But receiving requires a different kind of courage, because it asks you to stop expecting disappointment before anything has gone wrong. Here is the first principle. Noise makes hesitation feel intelligent. When too many voices compete inside your mind, every option begins to look dangerous. One person tells you to wait. Another tells you to move. Your own memory adds warnings from the past, and soon you cannot hear the simple direction beneath all that mental traffic. This is why silence becomes powerful in a season like this. Silence is not emptiness. It gives discernment room to breathe. When every opinion is removed for a moment, you can notice whether your resistance comes from wisdom or from an old wound that still expects every new beginning to end like the last one. The second principle is even deeper. Repeated delay can condition the mind to postpone decisions automatically. You do not need to consciously choose fear for this to happen. The pattern can become fast and familiar, so familiar that another week of waiting feels safer than one honest step toward what you have asked to receive. Pay attention to what happens inside you when an opportunity appears. Does your mind immediately search for what could go wrong? Do you create more conditions before allowing yourself to respond? Do you demand a perfect feeling first? Those reactions can reveal whether caution is serving discernment or quietly serving avoidance. The third principle is identity lag. Heaven may prepare a new assignment before your self-image catches up with it. That creates tension. The old identity says you are still waiting. The emerging identity says you are ready to carry more. If you keep obeying the old description, you can remain loyal to a season that has already ended. This is where many cycle breakers misunderstand themselves. They believe the final barrier must be outside them because the earlier barriers were outside them. But sometimes the last barrier is simply the habit of asking yesterday for permission to enter tomorrow. That habit feels harmless until a real threshold requires a response. Hold this thought. The restoration tool I named earlier will matter again soon, because clarity becomes essential when a person has lived inside delay for too long. I am not returning to the offer yet. I want you to understand the pattern first, so you can recognize why restoring a clearer mental state belongs inside this conversation at all. Now consider what distraction actually does. It rarely announces itself as an enemy. It appears as another notification, another opinion, another fear, another reason to research the decision one more day. Together, they can keep a prepared person circling the same threshold for months. That is why the enemy does not always need to destroy the blessing. Confusion can be enough. If your attention remains divided, you can miss the quiet simplicity of the next instruction. If your mind keeps demanding certainty that no human decision can provide, then delay keeps renewing itself without anyone visibly blocking your path. Listen carefully, because this is where spiritual language can hide the problem. Sometimes people call every delay patience. They say they are waiting on God when they are actually waiting to feel completely unafraid. But courage does not always arrive before movement. Sometimes clarity arrives first, and courage grows after the first honest response. There are 3 paths out of this pattern. The first is silence. You reduce the noise long enough to hear your real hesitation. The second is discernment. You ask whether the resistance produces peace or endless confusion. The third is restoration. You support the clarity needed to respond without forcing yourself through fear. None of these paths require panic. This message is urgent, but urgency is not the same as pressure. Pressure shouts that you must prove something immediately. Holy urgency asks you to stop wasting attention on voices that keep you disconnected from what you already know inside. You are not being asked to chase every open door. A watchman does not run toward every sound in the night. A watchman learns which signal matters. That is why your next season needs discernment more than excitement, because excitement can rise around the wrong thing, while alignment often feels quiet, steady, and strangely familiar. If this is helping you recognize someone else who has been trapped inside, endless almost, share this message with them. Do it because language can break isolation. Sometimes another chosen one does not need more advice. They need one sentence that helps them finally name the pattern they have been living inside. Now let us return to your own threshold. For a moment, imagine that all you needed was more patience. That sounds comforting. It would mean nothing is required from you except continuing to wait. It would mean every delay proves heaven is still preparing something beyond your sight. But that explanation has one serious weakness. What happens when preparation is already complete? What happens when the lesson is no longer endurance, but response? What happens when the next level is not hidden behind another year of waiting, but behind one decision you keep postponing because the old season taught you not to trust movement? This is the false summit. It feels wise to say, I will wait until I know for certain. It feels spiritual to say, I need one more sign. It feels safe to delay the decision until fear disappears. But if absolute certainty becomes the requirement, then hesitation can keep moving the finish line forever. Do not condemn yourself for recognizing this. Awareness is not accusation. The old pattern had a purpose once. It protected your heart after disappointment. It slowed you down when rushing would have hurt you. But protection can become confinement when it keeps operating after the danger that created it is no longer in front of you. Chosen one, this is why the next revelation matters so much. The hidden blocker is not a lack of faith. It is not proof that you are unworthy. It is not evidence that heaven forgot you. The real issue is more subtle because it can sound responsible while quietly keeping your hand frozen on an open door. Stay with me now. The next part will expose that hidden agreement completely. It will also reveal what the 10 seconds truly represent and why the door can be open while you still feel as though you are waiting for permission to enter. Chosen one, this is the moment where the hidden pattern must finally be named. You have spent enough time wondering whether the door is closed. It is not closed. Part of you has simply learned to keep waiting even after the reason for waiting has changed. That is the hidden agreement. Somewhere along the way, delay became safety. You stopped expecting movement because disappointment hurt too many times. So, when a real opening appears, your mind asks for another sign, another day, another confirmation, even when your spirit has already become unusually quiet. This is not a lack of faith. It is not failure. It is not proof that you missed your calling. It is an old protective response trying to manage a new season, and what protected your heart before can become the pattern that keeps your hand resting on the handle. Now the 10 seconds can finally be understood. They are not a literal clock threatening your worth. They represent the narrow moment between recognition and retreat. Clarity appears, and if you immediately bury it beneath noise, fear, and endless analysis, the old pattern takes control again. The enemy does not need to close the door. He only needs to keep you debating long enough to forget what you already sensed. He does not need to erase the opportunity. He only needs to make hesitation feel holy until another delay begins to look like obedience. Remember what you felt before this message reached this point. You knew something had shifted. You were more tired of noise. You wanted less explanation and more truth. Those were not empty details. Your inner world was preparing to respond differently before your circumstances gave you language for the change. This is why the confrontation feels strong. Heaven is not attacking you. Heaven is confronting the pattern. God is not angry with your value. The anger is against everything that trained you to distrust the clarity. He worked so patiently to rebuild inside you. Chosen one, hear this carefully. You are not standing before a locked door. You are standing before an open threshold with your hand still resting on the handle. That is the revelation. The breakthrough was not waiting for another miracle. Your response was still learning how to meet what was already open. Take one breath here. Let the meaning settle. You were prepared. Delay became familiar. Familiarity became hesitation. Hesitation blurred discernment. Now, the work is not to force yourself forward. The work is to restore enough clarity that your next response comes from peace instead of old fear. This is where the tool I mentioned earlier becomes relevant. I named it before because I did not want to hide the solution behind suspense. Now you have the context. The Genius Song is a 7-minute digital audio track designed around brain entrainment and gamma activity. The deeper reason that matters is simple. Many people remember being sharper when they were younger. They learned faster. They felt more intuitive. Ideas connected with less effort. Then adulthood became noisier. Attention became fragmented. And the distance between who they once felt they were and who they became started growing. Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years studying this territory. The product material connects his work with research references, including MIT, Princeton, and Harvard. The audio is framed as a way to support a mental state associated with gamma, focus, intuition, and flow. That distinction matters for a chosen one. You do not need another object telling you that you are incomplete. The purpose is restoration, not replacement. The goal is to reconnect with clarity that feels familiar, rather than manufacture a personality that never belonged to you. One story in the material describes a 43-year-old teacher in Texas. For years, she helped other people grow while feeling stuck herself. After 3 weeks using the audio, she reported that ideas returned more naturally, and one decision she had delayed for a year finally became clear. Notice what changed first. It was clarity. That is the connection to this message. Sometimes the door is already there, but a fogged mind keeps turning every next step into another argument, and the person standing closest to breakthrough becomes trapped inside endless reconsideration. The product material also reports 18,366 users paired with a refund framing of under 4%. You may be thinking that you have tried meditation, visualization, prayer routines, or other methods before. That does not make you cynical. It makes you careful. You do not need another complicated practice that becomes one more burden on an already crowded mind. The Genius Song is presented as a simple digital audio track. The instruction is 7 minutes with headphones in a quiet state. There is no long meditation ritual, no mantra to memorize, and no written exercise required before listening. The original listed price is $49. The current viewer price in the product material is $39 as a one-time purchase. It also includes 4 bonuses with a combined listed value of $80, so the offer includes more than the audio track itself. Genius Child is listed at $19. The Classic Book is listed at $20. The Guided Visualization is listed at $29. The 5-Habit Infographic is listed at $12. Together, those 4 bonuses carry the stated value of $80. There is also a 90-day money-back guarantee. If someone decides the experience does not match what they expected, the product material describes a full refund with no special conditions. The 4 bonuses can still be kept even if that refund is requested. I also need to give you one protective warning. There are imitation versions using similar names online. The product material says the verified version should be accessed through the link with this video in the description or pinned comment, rather than copies found on Amazon, YouTube, Spotify, or other sources. Do not let this become another pressure decision. This message has been about clarity from the beginning. Pause for a moment. Put your hand over your heart if that feels natural, and ask yourself one question. Am I choosing from peace, or am I letting old hesitation decide before I do? If the answer inside you feels clear, the verified path is below this video and in the pinned comment. You do not need to chase it in panic. You can examine it calmly. The point is not to prove anything with $39. The point is to stop letting endless waiting decide every new threshold. And if you are not ready, keep the truth you have already received. The door is not locked. Your worth was never the issue. Your next season does not require a more desperate version of you. It requires a clearer one. Chosen one, the 10 seconds have done their work. They brought your attention to the space between knowing and retreating. Now that space has a name. Hesitation can no longer hide inside patience. In the final part, we will seal this shift, release the identity of endless waiting, and step into peace without forcing anything. Chosen one, the countdown has done its work. You are still here. You did not run when the truth became uncomfortable. Now urgency can become peace, because the real threshold was never about panic. It was about recognizing clarity and refusing to bury it beneath another cycle of delay. Take a slow breath and let your shoulders soften. You do not need to force the next chapter open. You do not need to prove that you deserve it. What matters now is that you stop building your identity around endless waiting, because surviving the wilderness and receiving what comes after it require different kinds of strength. For so long, you measured faith by how much waiting you could endure. You became strong in silence. You learned how to keep moving without visible answers. But strength has another expression now. Sometimes strength is receiving without suspicion, recognizing a clean opening, and moving without demanding that every fear disappear first. This is where your identity changes. You are not merely someone hoping for a breakthrough. You are a watchman, learning the difference between noise and signal. You are a cycle breaker, refusing to turn yesterday into a permanent map for tomorrow. You are a chosen one, responding from discernment instead of old protection. Think about the pattern you are leaving behind. One more sign, one more week, one more conversation, one more reason to postpone what already felt clear. That pattern sounded responsible, but it kept moving the finish line. Today you have language for it, and what can be named no longer has the same power to hide. You do not have to fight yourself anymore. The goal is not recklessness. The goal is to stop confusing fear with wisdom. Real discernment does not multiply confusion every time you get close to an answer. It brings a steadier center, even when the next step still asks you to trust what you cannot fully see. Chosen one, imagine the next door that appears. Instead of asking whether every outcome is guaranteed, you pause and listen. Instead of collecting 10 opinions, you notice what remains clear when the noise settles. Instead of assuming delay is always holy, you ask whether waiting is producing peace or simply postponing a decision you already understand. Carry this into the days ahead. When confusion rises, return to what is simple. When fear becomes loud, do not let volume become authority. When outside voices compete for your attention, give yourself enough silence to hear what remains steady underneath them. Protect clarity without turning protection into another prison. This is where peace becomes your evidence, not passive peace, not numbness. A grounded peace that lets you see clearly without rushing. The kind of peace that allows a watchman to stay alert without living in constant alarm. The kind of peace that tells a cycle breaker that an old family pattern can end here. So release the version of you who believes waiting is the safest place to live. Honor that version. It carried you through days when hope felt expensive. It protected your heart when disappointment was fresh. But it does not need to lead forever. You can thank the old protection and still choose a new response. Now speak this inside yourself with intention. I release the identity of endless waiting. I receive clarity without panic. I trust the peace that remains after the noise fades. I refuse to let fear disguise itself as wisdom. I do not need perfect certainty to recognize what is aligned with the person I am becoming. I release the habit of postponing what I already understand. I release the need to ask everyone else before I listen to discernment. I release the belief that another delay must appear simply because delays appeared before. I make room for a new rhythm that is steady, clear, and willing to respond. I receive the courage to say yes when clarity is present, and the courage to say no when peace is absent. I will not confuse urgency with fear. I will not confuse hesitation with faith. I will not measure my worth by how quickly something manifests. I will protect what is clear without abandoning wisdom. Chosen one, let this become the sacred seal over everything you have heard. Your worth was never on trial. Your value was never measured by how quickly you moved. The invitation was deeper. Learn the difference between waiting because you are guided and waiting because an old wound is still asking for guarantees. If the restoration path we discussed earlier already felt clear to you, the same verified path remains below this message and in the pinned comment. You do not need another sales speech. You already heard the context. Look at it calmly if it aligns, and leave it alone if it does not. Clarity does not need pressure to prove itself. Now return to the larger truth. The door is not a threat. It is a symbol of response. The 10 seconds are not a sentence over your life. They remind you that some moments become clear before distraction begins speaking again, and your responsibility is to protect clarity long enough to make an honest decision. The generational cycle breaker in you understands why this matters beyond one decision. Families can inherit patterns of fear, silence, hesitation, and settling. Someone eventually has to interrupt the pattern. Someone has to listen carefully, decide clearly, and stop teaching the next generation that every unknown future must be feared. If this is the declaration you are choosing, write "I step through" in the comments. Let those words mean that you are stepping out of endless hesitation, not rushing into anything blindly. Let them mean that clarity deserves your attention, and fear no longer gets to rename every open possibility as danger. If this message helped you name a pattern you could not explain before, share it with someone living in the same endless almost. Stay connected here. If these messages help you separate noise from discernment, you do not need more voices shouting at you. You need reminders that return you to clarity. Now release the countdown, release the pressure, release the belief that heaven is standing over you with anger because you needed time to understand. The confrontation was never against your worth. It was against the cycle that taught you to remain outside what you had spent so long asking to receive. You have heard the warning. You have seen the pattern. You have named the hidden agreement. Now, choose peace. Choose clarity. Choose a response that belongs to who you are becoming, not who disappointment trained you to be. The door does not need your fear. It only needs your honest discernment. Chosen one, your season of endless waiting does not have to define the next chapter. Walk forward with a quiet mind. Protect what is clear. Let peace become louder than panic. When the next true threshold appears, remember this moment, because you no longer have to stand outside an open door, asking when it will open.